All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of our virtual tutor here for Algebra 1. In this section, we are doing Objective 27. And in this one, kind of carries directly over with what we talked about in 26, equations of lines. But now we're going back to those pesky special cases. And you can see here in 27, we're writing the equations of vertical versus horizontal lines. And honestly, it's a chance here to just review what we did when we did with slope. That if we either have a vertical or horizontal, we need to take our linear equations and do something a little different here. And honestly, it's simply a matter of memorizing these four things about a vertical versus a horizontal line. The first thing we want to look at is that we know, put this here, we'll go through what the word vertical actually means. And that means the line's going straight up and down. Versus what the word horizontal means, going left to right. Then we want to remember our slopes for each of these, that the vertical line, the slope was undefined. Whoops, not sure what happened there. Move that a little bit. While the slope of a horizontal line was 0. Note and remember that those are two very different things. Undefined was actually a slope divided by 0, and 0 was 0 over any number. The point on the line, any point on that line, the x value is going to remain the same. The y value will change, but look, as I graph any point here, the x value is always the same. It's always whatever this x-intercept is. And the same is true here for the y. It's always the y-intercept. So a point on the line here, the x value can change, but the y-intercept stays constant. And that's what makes these special, is that x value for vertical or the y value for horizontal, it doesn't change. It's always the same. And that's actually how we're going to get our equation. Right there. There's our equation. Right here. There's your equation. We're just taking that constant y value, and that's enough for us to get what the equation is. And honestly, that's all you're doing in this section. So this is going to be a pretty quick video because we just ran through it. It's the same thing that we did when we talked about slopes. It's understanding that those four relationships, the graph, the slope, the point on the line, and the equation are all directly related to each other. So, whoops. Go ahead and just look at a couple examples here. I'll either give it to you as a graph or as a couple of points. If it's a graph, we're going to recognize in number 1, this is a vertical line. And I recognize that just by looking at the word vertical and knowing what that means. Okay, and then I'm looking for that x-intercept. What is the x-intercept here? Well, it's 1. So what's my equation? X equals 1. But see how I'm relating all those things? I know vertical means x equals, and because it's an x equals, I'm looking for x-intercept. There's my answer. Now, it's a little harder to spot when I'm not given the graph. Here, these will get mixed into the problems we did in 26, where it's write the equation of the two lines. But if you try this, it'll end up giving you some sort of error unless you're able to recognize right there. Look at what didn't change. What value did not change there? The x value. Well, that tells me there's my equation. Just by understanding that, oh, Because it's a special vertical line, those x values won't repeat. Okay, now in 3 and 4, you see I gave you point slope. But when I recognize, oh, the slope is 0, this now tells me y equals. When I say undefined in number 4, that tells me x equals. And now that I know that, all right, well, if it's y equals, I just need the y value. If it's x equals, I just need the x value. So these 4 actually hit all of those 4 initial things: the graph, a point on the line, the slope, and the equation. And we see that they're all directly related to each other. Let's go through a couple more. Okay, so 2 points, but I recognize it's the y values that are not repeating, so I just write the equation of whatever is there. In 6, it's a horizontal line, so I know that's y equals, and then I'm looking, what is that y-intercept? It's 3. Down here, okay, a little tougher to spot because there's a bunch of 2's there, but right there, it's the x value that's repeating itself. And last, a slope of 0 tells me that's y equals, and once I know I'm looking for y equals, there we go. So, really what we're talking about, go back and show you that, these 4 things, and it's a matter of simply memorizing them. So give this, make sure we maybe put it on a note card and go through it a couple of times. One of the best things we can do is kind of make a general example and use that for a note card to study it. So let's start with vertical. You need the word vertical. And then what does vertical tell me? Well, it's a straight up and down line. Well, what does that mean? That means it has an x-intercept. And we'll just call that a number. And that also means that that x-intercept is always the same, like so. And last, it's a good thing to remember that the slope of this line is undefined. I guess I don't need a box around that. So that's just going through and kind of putting a general word on it. All right, let's look at horizontal. Okay. So first thing, it's important to realize what a horizontal line actually means. It has a y-intercept, and that means the point will always be that those 2 are the same. The slope is 0. So those are good, just kind of facts. Maybe make that as a note card or something, some way to memorize that, because that's what we're doing both with slope, which is the previous objective, a couple objectives ago, a while back, and then write the equation, which is this objective. All right, that concludes this video. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to rewind, and we'll see you in a bit.